Hey friend, it's Akil here to remind you that at every moment, everything is constantly in renewal, including ourselves. Although it may not seem that way when we look at ourselves, who and what we are is constantly in flux. The spiritual practices are ways to approach our life where we recognize and remember that anything that we can perceive, anything we can conceive of, that is not us. We are being encouraged to remember that our nature is openness and awareness and is unconditioned. But that's not how we usually experience ourselves. When we look at the world and we're interacting with it, we often feel like we don't have agency to choose who we are, that we have to show up because of obligations and need to fit into prescribed roles of who we can be. And this may seem true functionally, but the reality is everything is constantly shifting. We are creating the world by the way we're showing up in it. And if we're not actively participating in it by being present with it and allowing ourselves to change as it changes, we're going to get stuck. And we have plenty of evidence that the way things is operating now is not really actually working for most people. So what do we do going forward? That's an interesting question. And I would suggest that we all look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what is my refresh rate? How often am I interacting with myself in such a way where I remember that who and what I think I am is not actually who I am? How do we build in practices for ourselves to experience and embody the spirit of renewal? That's what the spiritual practices are about. And it doesn't really matter what you believe in. What matters is how are you responding and showing up to the world as it changes ahead of you. The people that were here before us, we don't know their stories and we don't really know most of their names, but they laid the groundwork for the world that we're living in now. And so too are we also laying the groundwork for the people who will follow us. So it's of critical importance that we show up to our lives in such a way where we embody this openness. It can be hard. It can be hard to shed the layers of status quo. We're building this container constantly of identity and how we are interacting with the world around us. Nationalism, patriotism, all of these frameworks are laid on top of these deep senses of who we think we are and how we should show up in our relationships in the world. So, this is a process that we have to be engaged with carefully and with patience. When we're doing this, we start to notice the places where we're stuck, and that can feel really uncomfortable. But I want to remind you that everybody, everything that's alive is constantly shifting and changing, not just you. If you look at nature, there's plenty of evidence to suggest to you that this is true. Like the sun is not the same sun that it was 500 years ago. Molecules are shifting, light is coming out of this thing, and it's constantly changing. So, deep in nature, we ourselves are part of this process of constant renewal, and it's up to us to engage with our lives where we invite the spirit of renewal in. So, my encouragement to you is make time for yourself to do some practices that help you connect with your fluid nature. See what that's like.